put these books up here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, because we had to put all the doctor work in.
Yep.
Furnace there, one in the basement. So we got spinning wheels, just a lot of stuff. They were pack rats like all Yankees. They never threw anything away. They kept everything. They wanted to mend tried to sew things, mend things, repair things. I think they spent half their time doing that.
So was a lot of the stuff taken out? I mean, I assume this was just packed with antiques and junk once from the Waldo family. Did Ruth at some point just kind of, she just left important stuff here? Like some of those notable pieces of furniture downstairs and paintings and things, or?
Well, you're asking me a question I can't answer.
No, I was just wondering. Maybe you knew,
I
okay.
really would like to go, and I've tried to do that and failed to. The Quakers, and she was a Quaker in New York City, and she was friends with the Quakers. She was a big shot in that organization. The religion's still continuing on, even at that point now. Most of them became Unitarians at the turn of the century or later. But Ruth, for some reason, I think she met a friend or something. She was a big shot Quaker, and I think she gave some shit to them. And I remember going there once and trying to inquire, and didn't get very far.
Is there a receipt? Is there an inventory? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's unlikely back then people would give things and then that was it.
Or I went to a big church tag sale or something like that. Like, which happened to our house a couple times. So.
Right.
Yeah. You don't need that furniture. Let's give it to charity.
For sure. And I think what happens to most stuff, it gets just thrown away.
That too.
But Ruth would have known.
Well, she kept the good stuff.
She was a smart woman, and she would have known what had value. And I think the question's an excellent question. Certainly her niece took some stuff. The niece took all the letters, and then that's how I got the letters. I got the letters, a good story. I got all the letters because she said she wanted me to take care of her dog. I said, all right, I'll take the dog for the letters. So anyway, but Ruth, that would be a question to,
I was just wondering.
So I don't know where else things could have gone. Because the place is pretty packed.
Yeah, definitely.
It didn't really lose, it probably lost some things, but in fact, there's Kenneth's gun rack. As being a veteran,
Nice.
he loved his gun and loved to shoot his gun and loved to hunt and trap and do all that stuff that people still
Actually,
did
maybe
back
Ken
then.
did clear out part of this, right? Because he used to shoot across here, right?
Exactly.
Plugging away with his
He plugged away in
revolver.
Yeah, there's a
all the guns were gone.
in the back.
They left. I don't know where they went. I don't.
Yeah.
Quakers.
I don't know anything about guns, and don't want to know anything. But old guns have value, right? So they walk. This thing should work for somebody if you ever, but it doesn't.
We'll have to make
It's
sure
a
that.
light bulb.
Yeah, we'll have to get that fixed.
And I sort of don't think we need to do this part of the tour.
Okay.
I like to do it, but I'm hesitant.
You gotta clean it up.
Well, no, yeah. But, here's where's Waldo? You found him, right? And then I always do the sweetest, as about as American as you could possibly get. World War I veteran coming home, right? Arriving on the boats, the iconic transport ships into New York City, June 4th, 1919. Dear Mother, well, it's great to be back in God's country again, and the reception we got was grand. The boat anchored just outside New York Harbor yesterday morning. Blah, 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 goes on and on. He says, I want to mention just a couple of great events. The first was the Statue of Liberty as it loomed in sight as we came up the harbor. It's certainly a thrilling sight, at least it was to us boys, and we think we know how to appreciate it now better than we would a year ago. And the other was the piece of pie the Salvation Army gave us before we got on the ferry boat. We could appreciate that also, as it was the first piece of real pie we've had since leaving here. Of course, it didn't compare with yours, Mother, but it did taste good. Mama's.
Is this his actual helmet that they left in the house too?
Well, it's his helmet.
That's great.
And we have his uniform.
Oh, no kidding.
He was wounded. Here's his decorating part.
Oh, is that what that is?
The posters of these I gave to the house. World War One, patriotic. Get behind the war. It's going to hit State Council of Defense.
Yep.
Tired of giving? You don't know what it is to be tired.
Right.
And
That's interesting.
This is a nurse who's at the front, or it could be Yeah, probably a nurse at the front, I would guess.
Oh, that's great. They got some of those Connecticut posters here. You can make it really well. This is a nice display, but yeah, you can.
But the problem is, from the
Spice it
public
up.
standpoint, is what they leave is with this, because it's the last room. And I don't want this room to overshadow the rest of the story.
It's not the
Because
last room. Deciding on how you push people through, because the last room technically, I might actually be that last room on the way out.
The pantry.
I guess so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
which
that could
room?
be. No, I was thinking of the one where you showed the removable,
Okay.
the
So,
fireplace.
yeah.
I don't know at all however you do it. But.
Yeah. No, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? I'm a believer, as I'm sure you are too, that all skeletons in attics should be exposed in history. And if you don't, then you're whitewashing it. And this gentleman suffered severely from his wounds in World War One, and he was never the same. And we still don't talk about it today, and we still have wars that we shouldn't have, and we're going to have it. So that's my soap opera, but nonetheless. So, but the problem is for the public, they don't quite. I don't think they quite get it. They don't know a whole lot about history to begin with, and so then they end up leaving the fact that this gentleman lived in the attic. So what I do, if you do need to come up here and give them that story, is you say to them, he didn't move up here till certainly after his parents' death, which was in the 40s, because they would never have let him. And what happened was his wealthy sister, Ruth, who lived in New York City, got him a caretaker. The cottage was built.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
The cottage was built for her to look after Kenneth. She made his meals, cleaned the house. But Kenneth hated her. He was a bachelor, and he
Want to do his own thing? And
was a totally independent gentleman.
Wow.
And so he wanted to be as far away from her as he possibly could be, so that's why he came up here. So that's my embellishing, softening the story.
I think it's an interesting example of just other architecture. You always see this in old houses, like these rooms and attics and things like that.
Right,
Yeah,
and
that's
who was
pretty-
that for?
Anybody. Sometimes servants,
slaves.
but not
Yeah.
often.
Slaves.
Just big families sometimes.
Yeah.
And then later boarders, and you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hired hand.
Yeah, the tenants, yeah, the hired hands.
Because
Yeah.
this clearly is built in what, the 20th century?
But we're Kenneth built this.
You were right.
we know
yeah,
who
I'm
built
looking
it.
at the
Yeah, and
wood and the plaster.
and then he had a little a smoke stacking about. He had a,
Oh, yeah.
where's this? There's a pipe that should.
So he had a little stove in
He had a
there?
little smoke.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it went right across to the
into
chimney.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Is this the bed that was up here too?
no, I put that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kenneth really liked being out there in the hills.
Oh, yeah?
Trapping.
Oh, cool.
He built little. I still find them shelters. And,
Really?
he was a fur trapper.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot of people were doing that.
And you know people still do.
My grandfather used to. A good way to make extra money.
That's right.
Not my grandfather here, but over in Columbia when he was a kid in the 20s, 30s.
That's right. That's right. They made money. There was a
Yeah.
whole business money.
Yeah, skunks, raccoons, anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's neat. Oh, another window to look after. Yeah, I know the feeling.